We sometimes see, and we see this a lot, we've seen this across the country, that when stuff happens with young people in high school, oftentimes white suspects will be shown in their cap and gown or in their football uniform, and mugshots will be put up of black suspects. All of that paints a really problematic story. In terms of the cap and gown pictures for certain communities and the mugshots for others, these are just examples of when news has an opportunity to really dig in and examine decisions that it's making. Doesn't mean that everyone inside of news is making bad decisions all the time. And it certainly doesn't mean that people got into news for the wrong reasons. What it does mean is that across the aggregate of several months and years and decades, that bad decisions are being made and they add up to news that is not actually accurate.
A big thing that came out of Ferguson after Michael Brown was shot, a lot of the media showed a picture of him where he was doing some sort of gesture with his hand. People said it's a gang sign or whatever it might have been. And what happened is that a lot of people protested that. They said, why is that the picture that you're showing of him instead of a picture of him in his graduation gown from high school? As producers, editors, news directors, all of that, it's really important that we have those decisions before we just grab a picture from Facebook and slap it on the air or slap it on the internet, because every time we use that picture, we're sending a message. Think and discuss. And there's no reason why you should only be using one picture. Most of us are pretty well-rounded people, you know, we have very, very different personas in different parts of our lives. You want to create a policy, or guidelines is more like it, create guidelines that direct people to say, we're gonna name race in a crime story when police are looking for a suspect, when the race is relevant, it's a relevant descriptor of the suspect, and yet we have other specific characteristics that we can name. And what's challenging about this is that a lot of times police departments will not give us that information. We'll be at the scene and the sergeant at the scene will come say, yes, the bank robber is a Hispanic male. And you need to challenge the police departments and the PIOs to say, I can't put that on the air. Hispanic male doesn't mean anything. What does a Hispanic male look like? So I need you to give me more information before you tweet that or put it on the air, put it on a full screen saying suspect is a Hispanic male in his 30s. Because then what are you saying? You are perpetuating, again, those stereotypes that a Hispanic males or black males are angry, dangerous people that you should be afraid of. So we have to be really careful when we're identifying race. So having those guidelines so that your people can look back and have an idea on how to start when they're talking about crime stories and identifying race.
Well, I do think it's really important that news agencies are really looking at how they get their information and seeing law enforcement as a source among many, a source that has to be pushed back on. And when we don't treat police as a source, what we do is we don't do the work to hold our officials accountable. And that is the responsibility of the news. The news, part of the news from the history of our country, the founding of having a free and independent press, right, that is in our Constitution, was about the separation from government, of not having a media that was controlled by our government. The police are representations of our government, and they just need to be held accountable like everyone else.